offensive player of the year. We're not talking rookies now. We're talking the entire landscape here of offensive pieces. Who wins this award, Brandon, usually?
Very easy profile. Just give me the numbers. Just look at the numbers. Doesn't matter if you win. I don't need a narrative. Just give me the numbers. It used to be that running backs were the offensive players of the year, just like the modern NFL is going. This is now a passing league. Quarterbacks and receivers are winning this now. But just to give you a taste of what the numbers you might need here, here's the average over the last 10 years of what a statistical profile is for offensive player of the year. If you're a quarterback, 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. That's what we're looking for. Running back, 2,000 scrimmage yards and 14 touchdowns. Wide receiver, that's two of our last three winners, 150 catches, 1,800 yards, 12 touchdowns. So you basically need to just pick someone to put up an outlandish fantasy god season. That's your offensive player of the year.
I want to put you on the spot as a follow-up question, especially this season, using our conversation about MVP. We talked about the AFC West. What are the chances, and maybe there is a historical background on this, what if it's the MVP runner-up? Say it's, Mahomes and Herbert or Mahomes and Wilson. They both have amazing seasons. It comes down to the final week. Kansas City emerges. So therefore, Russell Wilson gets snubbed because he just fell short to Mahomes. And the last thing they can turn to as a tiebreaker is, well, Mahomes won the division. So sorry, Russell Wilson. Does that factor in at all, especially in the AFC with all of these quarterbacks?
It feels like it should, right? Like it's a thing that we will certainly talk about in December when it comes time to do it. But historically, it really hasn't lived up that way. These awards are actually only 50 votes, and you get a one ballot with one name for all of these. So you don't get a second and a third place vote. You just got one name to put in here. There's no summit where we're meeting together and saying, well, hey, Pat Mahomes is going to be our MVP. So should we give this other award to the other guy? Historically, actually, when you have that super really elite season, the 50 touchdown season, you just win MVP and offensive player of the year. So it's actually more common for the MVP to win than for the runner-up MVP to get in here. So for me, it's just, this is almost a wait and bet in season award, because you almost need to see a month in, 2 months in, who is the fantasy star? We don't know yet. Otherwise you'd be winning all your leagues every year. Who's got those huge numbers? You can predict a little bit. So we've got some flyers for you, of course.
That's really good insight, because it's almost the way you laid that out is, okay, you're in your MVP lane, and then this other thing, the offensive player of the year award, it's a whole separate lane. There's no comparing and contrasting and overlap of those roads don't meet. They're going down their own way. So I think that's really interesting. That's good stuff. Let's get into some picks. We'll start with Jill. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm taking a pair of LSU Tigers. Going to be doing the gritty on this one. We're going with Justin Jefferson at 16-1. 2 seasons with Minnesota, 196 balls, over 3,000 receiving yards, 18 touchdowns. It's going to come down to Kirk Cousins, really, though. Cousins thrown over 30 touchdowns in 3 or 4 seasons. And they're probably going to have to get closer to 40 touchdowns, I'd imagine, win at least 10 games just to correlate for that, for Jefferson to get there. But I think the yardage is there to have a big year. And then, of course, Jamar Chase going to try to catch the tail of the comet here. 81 catches, over 1,400 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns. Pretty much, if it wasn't Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor, like, you could make a legitimate case that Jamar Chase could have won this in his rookie season. Also, just to start the year, part of this is almost kind of like a CLV style play, because they're playing the Steelers and Cowboys to start the year. If he comes out of the gate and has 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, like just using that as a bar metric, those odds are going to drop significantly, and you're not going to be able to get that kind of price for the rest of the year. So the Burrow connection is undeniable. I think the Bengals still need to win 10 more games again this year for Chase to be considered. But at these odds, I'm willing to take a stab to find out if the Bengals were a fluke.
My only pushback would be monitor Adam Thielen. Now, he played in only 13 games last year. Does he eat into Justin Jefferson, or is it just to a point where Kirk Cousins and Jefferson mesh? It also relies on Kevin O'Connell and how he schemes it up and how that offense works. Thielen played in 13 games last year. So that it certainly opened up Justin Jefferson as like, we need you to be our guy. Just something to think about. How about you, Brandon Anderson, offensive player of the year?
Yeah, for me, really, it's about avoiding names at this stage. I'm going to avoid those guys at the top. Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Debo, the 20-1 guys are shorter. You need such a crazy outlier season to win this that it's just too hard to predict. And this is the time to grab the long shot, take a little nibble, and then wait a little bit longer. The nibble I will take is a guy that if you followed last year, we had our Tom Brady MVP tickets. Man, we were ready to cash. We had our 14-1 preseason on this podcast last year for MVP. We were the lead late in the year. It didn't come through for us, but Tom Brady did lead the NFL in yards and passing attempts and completions and touchdowns last year. And that is not a new thing. He was doing that the back half of the season the year before. Once they really opened the offense up, Tom Brady's going to have huge passing attempts. He's going to open it up. They've got the great receivers. He's 50-1 here. 50-1 is long enough for me to nibble, take a little bite. We know his numbers are going to put him in the mix, and then we'll just see where this goes as the season progresses.
And you compare it to his MVP odds, it's certainly a look. You're getting a much better number, obviously. Hey, maybe he retires again for a week, and maybe he can be in the comeback player of the year discussion. I mean, they technically retired for like 40 days. Maybe if he takes another in-season vacation, Giselle, I mean, you could do us a favor there.
The guy couldn't retire like 2 weeks before the end of the season and cash our MVP tickets for us. It was right there, Tom, right there.